Hey guys, it's Whiskey River, and thanks for clicking on the video. Before I get started on the DB Giganotosaurus video, I just wanted to talk about my PFP. You might have noticed that I updated it recently to this picture you see here on the screen. And I had my other one for quite a while, and it was time for an update. And I found out that one of my friends is an amazingly talented artist, and she does these PFPs. And I asked her if I could commission her to do one for myself, a custom one, and she said absolutely, I'd love to. And this is what she came up with, and it is absolutely amazing. It was just even better than I had imagined it. I gave her some basic details. I like my theme is kind of green. That's what most of my dinosaurs are, a green camo type color, and it's been my theme for ever since I've had my channel. And I love Birchwoods as my favorite POI. Arthur, my OG Rex, is my main character that I play most of the time. And so I kind of gave her those basic criteria, and then she incorporated my name, Whiskey River, with this whiskey colored river you see flowing around in the background. In Birchwoods, you got the white birchwood trees, and then Arthur, roaring there in the foreground and hanging out in Birchwoods. And I mean, it's really, really amazing. And I'm so thankful for this. I just wanted to give Carrie out a shout out. She does amazing work, and she has reasonable prices. If you want to get your own custom PFP, something that's custom and unique and tailored to you and your personal preferences, then she's a person that can help you out, and I highly recommend her. As you can see, this is a spectacular work of art, and I just can't be any more thankful than I am. I cannot give her enough praise, because this is just really, really good. It's just beautiful, and like I said, it came out much better than I even expected. I've seen a bunch of her other work too, and it's just amazing. I'll put I'm going to do another video that kind of like highlights her work, and it'll show some examples of what she does, because she can do all kinds of stuff, not just dinosaurs, but all kinds of stuff. So I'm gonna, in an upcoming video, I'll highlight some of that stuff and show it off for her, just because I think she does, like I said, amazing work, and I really want to try to help her out. And if you want something of your own, feel free to give her a shout. I'm going to put her information in the description below. There'll be some links there that you can click on and communicate with her directly through her social media channels, and talk to her about getting your own work of art if that's something that you think you might like. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The DB Giganotosaurus. This is probably the best dinosaur you can choose to take out the largest sauropods in the game, mainly the Argentinosaurus. The PT Giga is also good, but this one I think is a little more user-friendly. You could start off with this one, I would say, and then once you get really good at it, you could probably graduate to the PT Giga. I think it's a little harder to use, the PT Giga, but it's also very good. But this one is very forgiving, and you can take a lot of punishment and make some mistakes and still get away with it. So to start off with the build, on the sauropods, I use Gouging Bite. You charge up the attack, and it inflicts high bleed and medium damage. It actually does 100 damage every time you hit with it, but it also reduces the speed of the target, and it lowers their bleed resistance by 20% for 7 seconds. So you can use that in combination with Flesh Graze, which is the second ability that I use. And that tears a chunk of flesh off the victim, drains their stamina, and it regenerates your health. And it actually, on the Apex Killer server, it'll give you 100 health back, not just 85. So it's boosted up a little bit, and it's very, very useful. So when you get low on health, you can rip a piece of flesh off the Argentinosaurus and get some of your health back. So that's why this one's a little bit more user-friendly, because you can accidentally take a stomp or a tail whack and then just run in a little bit later and get yourself a Flesh Graze, and it'll heal you up. Now, the healing in the game, I think, is a bit OP, but it's a thing that we have to deal with and work around and work with and use in Path of Titans. So the Flesh Graze is a great way to take advantage of that. Sanguine Snap's another one you can use. That's good as well for some targets that you can take, that you can trade with. Maybe Rexes or some of the bigger theropods. It's good for like the Apatos even and some of the amps where you can get up on the side of them and get a few bites and build up the damage. So you can kind of choose between the two. For the senses, I'm typically using Southern Tyrant for the extra armor, and then I also use the armor subspecies. So instead of getting 15%, I'm actually getting 20% armor, and it does reduce your speed by 5%, but you can use that with a hide that will give you back to 5%, and I'll go over that when I go over the hides. Lone Hunter is good for when you're by yourself. Blood Soaked is also an option, although it is bugged right now. I don't know when they're going to fix that, but it doesn't really seem to be working all that well. If it did work, it would be a good way to get some stamina back. Bloodlust is another one that's a unique thing that you can use from time to time, but I never really use it because it's one of those things where you don't take any damage for a little bit, but you can dish out the damage. But then after it's over, it reduces your health to 15%. However, on the Apex Killers server, George has it adjusted where it actually reduces you to 0, so you will die if you use that. So it's sort of a Hail Mary you could use as a way to kill something and then die also. Sort of a sacrificial type maneuver that you could use, I guess, in certain circumstances, but I never really use it. I don't see a need for it. The second ability I use here is on the front limb is the Smash. It's a headbutt that does knock back, and it also boosts up your damage resistance. So it's very helpful to stack that a couple of times and get some damage resistance when you're fighting things. You can alternate it with your bite, so it's very, very handy. And then the claw attack is something you could use. I never really use it, but it could be used, and it's good for probably for sub-apexes and mid-tiers that get up under you. You could claw them a little bit, take some stamina, and do a little bit of damage. I use the Gorman because this will help with your thirst drain, and you don't need to worry about your hunger because every time you do a flesh graze, you actually fill your stomach up, or it increases the amount in your stomach, so it helps you not go hungry. It's another reason why that ability I think is actually OP. But we have it, so you might as well use it. Forward Momentum is the hide that I use with the Southern Tyrant because it gives you back stamina and it increases your speed by 5%. So it reduces your movement stamina cost by 7.5, which is very handy. And then of course you're losing that 5% with Southern Tyrant, so you might as well get it back with the Forward Momentum. And then it also helps your knockback by 25%. And then it says that it decreases your acceleration by 40% and your turn radius by 5%, but I don't notice that at all. So it might not be really that bad. Gritty Scales is something I guess you could use if you need some stamina. Enduring Tyrant is also a really good one because on Apex Killers it doesn't reduce your speed by 10%, it only reduces your speed by like 3%. So you can get your turn radius and your stamina recovery up for a very small cost of speed. Resilient Scales is great for fighting Karks or anything that bleeds you out. And then Slick Scales is something I guess you could use if you know you're going to go up against a mob boss or something that's going to be pouncing you a lot, although I never really walk around with that or use it all that much. But it is an option. Resilient Scales and Forward Momentum are the two that I run most of the time. Then you get 2 leg slots. You get your Directional Stomp, which is amazing. That'll one-tap mid-tiers. It'll one-tap low tiers. It'll significantly damage, if not one-tap mid-tiers, and then it does a lot of damage to anything else. And you always get Accelerator, which is just a passive ability that increases your trot speed when you're not in combat. And it's a big, slow creature, so that always helps a whole lot. I like to use Enraged Charge because sometimes it's not doing damage right now, so I just use it to get in and out of battle. A lot of times I'll use it to hit an Argent, and then if I need to get away because it's going to smack me with its tail, or if I get fractured or something like that, I can use it to get out really quickly and go heal up. But Stout is a good option too because you don't take as much fracture from the Argent stomps, so it's kind of which one you prefer really. And then of course you got one tail attack, and it does knockback. It doesn't say here, but it actually does amazing knockback, and it's very, very helpful. And you get one call Raging Bellow that gives you 15% attack damage and then 45% knockback resistance. Lasts about 30 seconds. So my build for this video is Gouge, Gouging Bite, Flesh Graze, Southern Tyrant, the Charge, the Bash for the Headbutt, and then of course Tail Attack, Stomp, and the Raging Bellow. The DB Giga is it's probably among the Sub-Titans the best solo choice. This or the OG Rex are both very, very good right now. I think this is probably a little bit better if you especially if you like Gigas, but the Stomp that it has, the Flesh Craze, I mean, it's just got so many tools that it's very, very survivable. Because of the way Fracture is working in the game right now, the OG Rex doesn't turn all that great, and so a lot of tail riders can really exploit it, and you'll find yourself using cliffs and water and things like that a lot, wall camping and things. But with the DB Giga, you don't have to do that so much because you have a Stomp and a tail knockback that are very, very handy, and it turns nicely as well. So in this first clip here, we hunt this DB Amp. This is a easier challenge than an Argent, but still a challenge. A good DB Amp is very hard to deal with, and especially if they're using terrain and they know how to time their attacks well, especially the tail knockback. I did some bounty hunting with a couple of friends, another video I have called the Unsurmountable Sauropods, and you'll see that the DB Amp we fight in that video was an expert. It was very difficult to fight him, and when he started using the terrain and stuff, it almost made it impossible. We got very lucky at the end with the win, and you can check that video out if you want to see how we pulled that one off. But for the most part, if the DB Amp is going to fight in the open like this, then eventually it's just a matter of time and the DB Giga will win. And it's kind of one of my gripes in this game right now. I'm not a huge fan of this bleed heal meta that we're in right now. You know, everybody complained about Bone Break for so long. They finally adjusted it and they made it basically useless. I mean, you can fracture on a Rex, you know, you can fracture an Aloe or any kind of sub-apex or mid-tier, and they just run away like you did nothing to them. So it's kind of stupid, really. You have to hit them with 2, and there's a cooldown, 4 or 5 second cooldown between crushing bites anyway. So it's not like, unless the player is AFK or new or, you know, extremely inexperienced or paying no attention whatsoever, it's going to be really, really hard to get 2 crushing bites on pretty much anything to get it fully bone broken. So it's very helpful on the Rex to work with a partner, so you can get 2 crushing bites back to back, and then you can really make it work. So it's extremely challenging, but as a solo, it's not as useful anymore. You can use the charge bite, but it's so predictable and most people can see that coming and dodge it. So it's why I would say that the DB Giga is actually a better choice for a solo playable right now. If you're just going to play a Sub-Titan by yourself, this is a very, very good choice. But if you have a partner, even if you don't have a partner, you can take out sauropods. But if you have a partner, it's very, very strong to fight just about anything, and it's very, very good at taking out sauropods. Really is a specialist at taking out sauropods. So this amp is starting to do the right thing here, being a little bit smarter now and trying to use its terrain, which will help it a lot because he needs to prevent us from getting in and out and healing up. I mean, you can see we've done quite a bit of damage on it already, and we're not that hurt. We can go in and get gouging bites, which is going to stack bleed on them and do damage. And then, of course, we can follow up with a flesh graze, which just gives us health back, and then, you know, makes him bleed. And eventually, like I say, what it comes down to is just a mathematical equation, and it's infinite health bars versus 1 health bar. And all we're doing is depleting his health bar, while ours is never really getting depleted. It might drop here and there, but throughout the fight you can see we're constantly healing, and he's just constantly getting hurt and dropping throughout the entire fight. Even when they get into like a precarious situation like that, I mean, we have enough health, and with the flesh graze, it's easy to take some trades. We might take a hit here and there, but we can still get out and just go heal up. That wasn't the best rock. I know sometimes, you know, when you catch somebody in the middle of GP, they're trying to find the best place to go, and they see a rock, and the first rock they go to isn't always the best. But they're trying at least to use the terrain, and it's definitely the smart thing to do. However, it was lucky for us that this rock wasn't all that great for him. We could still get in and out and get some hits on him. And because the DB Giga just heals throughout the fight, it's really best when you're on a sauropod, especially an amp like this, to just keep the pressure on and fight back. Because if you try to heal or you try to drag it out, and you try to, you know, get into a spot where it's just going to prolong the fight, all it's really doing is benefiting the Giga, because the longer you wait, the more time we have to heal. And so it's best to try to apply the pressure and just keep the damage on and just fight them. And either, you know, you might die, but you also might make a mistake. They might take too much damage. They might not realize how fast you are, and you can catch them and deplete their health before they have a chance to get the flesh graze off. And there is a 60-second cooldown between flesh grazes, so if one hits a flesh graze, you know, that's the time to probably try to chase it down and just do as much damage as possible on it before it has a chance to heal up. So I think applying pressure and being super aggressive, as an amp especially, would be a much better tactic against a DB Giga than trying to find a spot to hide on, because like I said, the more time you give them, the more time they have to heal. Here we take on a C-Rex. This is a female C-Rex, and actually one DB Giga can take out a female C-Rex with flesh graze and stomp and the tail knockback. If the C-Rex doesn't utilize the water or mushrooms to heal, you'll eventually kill it. So 2 DB Gigas can easily kill it, as you can see here. This is another illustration of why the female C-Rex is actually not OP. Any dual Apex, sub-Titan, even a group of sub-Apexes can kill a C-Rex pretty easily. It's going to have to use the water to get away and heal most of the time. It can't really chase anything down, so the stuff that it kills is really only stuff that it wants to fight. It's not chasing stuff down. Really, you might get the surprise knockback into the water here and there, but it's a player that's not paying attention. You can kind of get that with anybody, with any dinosaur really. It's not just the female C-Rex that can do that, but it's just another example of how C-Rex is not OP. A couple of DB Gigas, or even a solo DB Giga can take it out. Karks can take it out. Like I said, any duo really can take out the C-Rex. Here we're hunting an Apato. Apato is a little more of a challenge. The good Apatos that know how to use their tail, how to maneuver right, keep us behind them, and pretty much spam their tail and use their charge back tail, can put up an extremely good fight. And they can also be in pairs too, so it seems easy sometimes when you're just fighting a solo Apato, and it is definitely easier, but any solo Apato coming to GP is there for a fight, and it can beat 2 DB Gigas, but if there's a pair of them, that's even better. So if you're going to come to a hot spot and you want to ensure victory, I would definitely say get a partner on an Apato, and you'll stand a much better chance. But the good Apatos don't use their stomp and don't use their head slam all that much. They use their tail mainly, and their chargeback tail, and those are the ones that are the hardest to fight. But a lot of players love to overutilize the stomp and the head slam. And experienced Giga players, experienced players that know how to fight sauropods are going to bait that out and then just use the cooldown window to come and get some hits on you. So my advice to Apato players is don't overuse your stomps and your head slams. Try to use your tail mostly. You can see how much damage that tail is doing to Jurassic there. Does a pretty good amount of damage, really. Seeing that stomp right there is just super easy to dodge, and it just leaves an opening to get hits or to get away. like I just did there. Had Jurassic had stamina, then after he did that stomp, it would have taken some punishment because he could have went in there and hit it a couple of times. But my health, I mean, you can see my health, and all I'm doing is getting flesh grazes to increase my health even more. See, there's the head slam and then the easy counter with a charge bite and a flesh graze by Jurassic, and he just goes ahead and dodges the stomp and does a stomp of his own, gets a headbutt. I mean, he just dished out a lot of damage and basically avoided most of the damage the Apato gave to him. And now I can see him scarring really badly, so I don't even really need to worry about taking too much damage at this point in time. I can pretty much tank him, and he's 1 or 2 hits from death, and you can see our health bars are fine. It's really the stamina that we've got to kind of worry about. The trick to these is, they can run out of stamina quickly, and then if the Apato is close enough, it can run down and hit them. And again, it just shows you why it's better to be aggressive on the sauropods with DB Gigas than not, because if you're not, then time is on the DB Giga's side in these fights, and they're going to heal up over time. So you just want to prevent that. And if you're going to die, you're probably going to die either way. You're pretty much guaranteed to die if you drag the fight out, so you might as well put the pressure on and try to get them right away. Try to fight them right away, and if you die, you die, but that's going to happen anyway. You might as well get it over with, but there's a chance you kill them if you're aggressive. So that's what I recommend on the sauropods against DB Gigas. This is a really challenging fight here. This was the Kamara. This is probably the hardest fight for a DB Giga. It's even harder than a Argentinosaurus because the Kamara is deceptively fast, and it'll build up a stack with its tail that makes you take more damage. And if it gets that full stack on you, and then it hits you with its shoulder bash or its thumb pummel, it can take half your health in one volley. So you've got to be really careful with these guys. And they look big and slow, but man, are they quick. And they can surprise you and kill you pretty quickly. I've probably, all the sauropods that I fight, I think I've died most to the Kamarasaurus. It's also got a heal call, what it's doing right there. They do this call that heals them. They've got 2 different calls. One I think gets rid of the bleed and the other one heals them. I think they have to choose one or the other. So they're doing their heal call. They also heal just like we do. So this is another reason that makes the Kamara extremely tough. The weak spot on the Kamara is right beneath its tail, the base of its tail, in between its 2 rear legs, and its rear legs are pretty weak too, but anywhere in the back there is really where you want to hit, although it does have a tail attack, so it's not super easy, but that's where you want to try to hit it, and you want to avoid the front of it. The front of it is where it does most of its damage. He's kind of keeping it pressured here while I get some stamina back. And that's, again, the main thing we need to do in this fight is manage stamina. And one of us can get stamina while the other one keeps him busy. And then we alternate and try to get flesh grazes to keep our health up throughout the fight. He's eating mushrooms there, which is also going to give him health, so I've got to try to prevent that. Biting him in the back, that's really where you want to bite him. Try to keep out turning him. And you can see the stacks. I've got 3, and the more stacks that I have, the more damage he's going to do. So I've got to think about getting out here before I get too hurt. Would have been nice if I could have got a flesh graze on the way out. Would help me out a little bit more. But you can see he's scarring up, and he's almost dead, so we're doing fine. believe that's his heel call he's trying to pop there. When they're in that heel call animation, they take less damage, but you can hit them right after it's done, and there's a little window there where you can get them. That was a little risky there, but he's on death bleed, and I know he's very, very close to death, so it was worth trying it. And now he's in a spot there where he's forcing us to hit him from the front, so it's going to be a little more difficult to kill him. But I had to try that one shot there, and now we can just heal up a little bit and try to finish him off, which Rampage does here actually. And there he goes. So then his body flies out like that. It's kind of a bug that these guys do sometimes, which is pretty funny. This is another Kamara fight, and this one I tried to use Sanguine Snap because I wanted to try to get a tail ride on him and build that bite up, because if you can stack that to 5 and then continue to tail ride something or continue to bite it, it does a lot more damage than the regular bite, and it'll do a lot of bleed as well. But the problem with the Kamara that I realized in this fight is that it's also stacking up. You can see that he's got 3 stacks right there on his tail, and once he stacks that up, once he stacks it to 3, if he gets a shoulder bash like that, which he can get even when you're behind him, that took more than half my health. So that's when I realized Sanguine Snap is not a good choice for a Kamara. Just use the regular bite or charge bite on these guys. That's what I'll be doing in the future for sure. This was kind of a precarious fight because we had these guys, there was a Spino there and then all these hats on this body. So we had to be careful, not to get in their way or get near them. There is a rule now on Apex Killers where if you're on a body, you are allowed to make space for a fight if you want to. You don't have to. You can stay on the body and protect your personal space, but you have the option to move out of the way. And if there's a fight, then the best option is to move out of the way. But if somebody's just walking through your body and they're not even fighting, they're just being, not paying attention and being inconsiderate, then you're more than welcome to protect your personal space, and that's totally allowed. And that's what I usually do. I try to stay away from fights like this. It was kind of crazy because we were fighting, but so were they. So it was like we're just trying to avoid it. It made it a little bit harder to fight this Kamara because he has water on one side and then this fight going on the other side. But we just tried to avoid it the best we could. But yeah, I mean, you are allowed to protect your personal space. If there's just a player walking along aimlessly or not paying attention, looking at their phone or whatever, and walking right through your body, you can bite them and protect your personal space. And I try to do that because you just never know, and especially in this server, there's a lot of people that just don't, they just pop in, they don't bother to read even the banner that pops up on the screen when they log in, and they don't even care about the rules or even, have any intention at all to try to follow any rules. They just want to come on and kill stuff, and they don't really care, and they'll end up getting banned or whatever. But it happens all the time. I'm on a body and somebody just rolls up and starts attacking me, or biting or whatever, and or just trying to cause trouble, trying to bait you into biting them so that they can blame you for a rule break or something like that. Happens a lot. So when anybody comes up to me when I'm on a body, I assume that they have bad intentions, and I will bite them unless it's obvious there's a fight going on. I will make room, but it's not personal. If you come up and you roll up on me when I'm on a body and I bite you, I'm not doing anything personal. I'm just protecting myself, and I'm assuming the worst because it happens a lot where people just want to they have bad intentions and they want to try to kill you, get an easy kill while you're sleeping on a body, and then claim they didn't know, or for whatever reason they just want to be a jerk. So I like the rule the way it is now. You don't have to move off the body, but you can if you want to. And you can also protect your personal space, and it gives the player the option, which I believe is very fair. The other day I was on a body, and I was a C-Rex, and I had fought another C-Rex, and I was one shot to death because the C-Rex fights are just a coin flip. and I had to move out of the way of this Argent fight. These two Gigas came up and were fighting an Argent, and so I had to move far away. And there was an OG Rex that didn't know I was in a fight, and I don't blame him. He didn't. There's no way he could have known because I was so far away from the body, and he hit me and killed me with one shot. And it was like that rule. That was back when the rule said you had to move out of the way of a fight off of your body. And I really didn't like that rule. It didn't last very long because a lot of people did complain about it because of that exact reason. You know, you have to move far away from a body, and there's crocodiles and other animals and stuff around, players around, that they have no idea you're on a body, and they wouldn't know because you're so far away from it, and they just kill you, and it just created more tickets and was an issue. So I love the way the rule is right now. So you can see even this Kamara, like I said, these are the most dangerous to fight of all the sauropods in my opinion. The front of them is the most dangerous spot, and so he's got the water behind him, and he's forcing us to come at him on the business end here, and that's the smart way to play because every time we go in, we're going to take a trade. But like I said, the DB Giga has the flesh graze, so we can afford to take hits with these DB Gigas, and it's another reason why it makes them the best sauropod killer in the game right now. You know, we make a mistake and take a hit, well, then I just get a flesh graze and walk away, and it's like that makes him bleed more, even take some damage, and I'm just walking away healing. So it's just another illustration of why I think the flesh graze is a bit of an OP feature. But this is the meta. This is the bleed heal meta right now. People complain so much about the bone break meta that they've basically made bone break useless, and they've totally enhanced the bleed heal meta, and it made this super OP. And players, more and more players are going to catch on to it, and it's just a mathematical equation. You know, you're constantly healing, and their health bar is constantly dropping. That's the name of the game. And of course, I mean, of course, the healer is always going to win. DB Gigas can heal through bleed. Karks have a hide that makes them heal even faster now out of combat. So unless you're a really bad player, like the Giganotosaurus on the Apex Killer server is the easiest thing to play right now. It's 100%. If you can't kill something outright just with your direct damage, all you have to do is bleed it. I mean, it might have a little bit of a threat. You know, two Karks don't have much of a threat, and they might get ambushed by a Rex, or they might get attacked by like a pack of mid tiers or sub apexes that can do the bleed heal thing on them, or out damage them with like some Ceratos. But even then, it's not easy because the Kark has a tail knockback, and it has a stomp that'll kill any low tier and almost kill most mid tiers, do significant damage to everything else, and it can do it in the blink of an eye. It can just stop and stomp really quick while it's trotting. It's got good damage, it's got good bleed, it has excellent turn, it has speed, it can outrun a PT Rex with red herring. I mean, it's super fast for its size. It's got a decent amount of health, has a little bit of armor. I mean, it's got everything you need in this game to survive and to kill pretty much whatever you're hunting. To me, it's kind of easy mode. I like to joke around and say they need to call it the Sea Kark because it's super simple to use. I mean, you can pick apart Rexes, you can just tail ride them, bleed them out. You know, they're very good. A PT Rex is a good match for it, though. A good PT Rex player can kill a Kark, but even then, if the Kark plays the bleed game and just stays away from it, eventually it'll bleed it out. So I'm not a huge fan of this bleed heal meta right now. I think it's kind of eventually everybody's going to learn it, and it's just sort of a brainless meta. You just pick apart somebody little by little. You can drag out fights for an hour long and just bleed your opponent out. You can even trade. You can just go and get a couple bites, even if you take hits. If that thing that you're fighting has no way to stop you, no way to catch you, no way to instantly kill you or prevent you from running away, even if you take too much hits and you make a mistake, you just run away and heal while that thing just sits there and bleeds and can't heal. And now there's passive healing with the combat timer on. You heal even faster passively when the combat timer's off. And if you have a flesh graze or a heal call, it's just easy mode. It's totally easy mode, and I'm not a fan of it. And I wish they would move away from it. But for now, I don't see that happening anytime soon or in the near future. Alderaan takes forever to make these types of changes. The bone break meta was around for years. I think this bleed heal meta is probably here to stay for a long time. So, you know what they say, if you can't beat them, join them. And utilize it, take advantage of it, have fun with it, and run with it. And that's what I'm going to be doing whenever I'm playing most of these bleeders. Still enjoy the Rex, but yeah, the DB Giga is a great choice, especially for a solo, and it's going to be excellent to take out sauropods. I think it's a really good dinosaur to start with too. If you want to start hunting sauropods, the DB Giga is a great choice to start with because it's very forgiving if you make some mistakes and stuff like that. And then you can graduate to the PT Giga later. That one's a little bit harder to use, but also excellent. Once you get good at it, it's probably the best apex in the game, probably the best dinosaur in the game. But this one here is very, very, very excellent at doing most things, and it's a really, really good dinosaur. I love using it to take out Argents especially, and I think you'd probably enjoy it too if you haven't played it. Check it out, the DB Giga. Pretty amazing dino. Now, what I did here is, this is a fight I observed. This is Football Playa. He's one of the admins. He's on this DB Giga. And the biggest threat to a DB Giga is an OG Rex. And this is a really good, this is basically, he puts on a clinic here on how to fight an OG Rex as a DB Giga. And he's utilizing the headbutt to avoid the bone break. He just headbutts him, and the Rex can never land its bone break. And he's bleeding it out and using flesh graze and just taking the time to heal. You see right there, tail knockback, avoids that hit, headbutt, avoids that hit, gets some bleed on him, gets a stomp, takes a flesh graze, and gets out, and you can just heal up. So you can watch this fight. This is a really good example on how to beat an OG Rex with a DB Giga, and I'll leave you guys with this. Thanks for clicking on the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out carryout stuff. I'll leave the links in the description below. And as always, guys, I hope to see you out there in Gondola. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.